Structural testing is a type of software testing which uses the internal design of the software for testing. When they are accessing the source code, then it's only going to be done by the development team itself. They must be able to do both development as well as testing. It will going to give the potentiality of a software and also going to help us in order to understand the weakness or risk taking places or spots of an application that can be done with the help of this mutation testing. Hello everybody, a warm welcome to one and all. Welcome back to the session 5 of Unit 4 and we are in the B.Ca 6th semester subject called Software Engineering. I am Rohini TS, Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. So before getting into our today's session, we'll just see the quick recap of my previous session. In the last session of this unit, we have discussed regarding types of software testing. Under that, we have manual testing as well as automation testing. So when the testing is done manually without using any scripts or automation tool, then that is manual. Otherwise, it will be considered as what? Automation testing. And also we have learned regarding what are the software testing tools we have. Then also I have discussed regarding this boundary testing. So in our today's session, we're going to see about the structural software testing. This is also one of the type of software testing. In this, how this will going to work. Along with that, we'll see what are the types of structural testing we have along with the advantages and disadvantages. Then we'll see what are the tools we have with respect to this structural testing. So first we'll see the definition of this structural software testing and how it will going to work. So here, structural testing is a type of software testing which uses the internal design of the software for testing. So if it is having access to the internal design, then you must be understand that it can be done only by the white box testing. That is what you can understand here. So they are going to have a accessibility to the internal design of a software for testing, or else what we can say, the software testing which is performed by the team which knows the development phase of the software. Then we are going to call that as a structural testing. So when there is an accessibility, so that will be only for the development team or a development phase of a software. The developer, one who have designed that source code or that segment of a code will going to be tested by the code which has been written by the developer will going to be tested itself here. That is what they know, the internal design of an application or a software, and mainly it is related to the internal design and implementation of a software. When we say this structural testing, it's always related to internal design and how the logic it's working, what are the algorithm we are using, do we have any bugs which is related to its functionality, that and all will going to be tested in the structural testing. And also it's always related to the internal design and implementation of a software. Mainly it involves the development team members in the testing team. So you can't be only a developer or a tester. So you must be good enough to play all the roles when we are in the SDLC process, so that the development team, whatever we have, that members only will going to do the testing in this structural software testing, so that you can compare this structural testing with the white box testing. Almost all the functionality will be same itself, and also it will test the different aspects of the software according to its types. So based on the type of software, whether it is system software, application software, and what is the reason behind the development of a software, everything will going to be checked, and with the different aspects they are going to do the software testing. And also it is just opposite to this behavioral testing. This is regarding structural testing. Along with that, we have 4 types of structural testing. In that, first one is related to control flow testing. So anyway, it has an accessibility to the design document. Already we know that we have a control flow diagram, that is CFD, and also we have a data flow diagram, DFD, and also we have a ER diagram, right, ERD. So all those are what? Which comes under the document of designing. So that is design document. So this structural documentation or structural testing is also going to have the accessibility to all these things. So this structural testing has the accessibility to all these things. So when we are testing it, that comes under the type of that structural testing. One is control flow testing, and when we are checking for the data flow of a software or application, and also we have a slice based testing along with a mutation testing. We'll see each type one by one now. So mainly it is first type is regarding control flow testing. It's a type of structural testing that uses the program's control flow as a module or a model. So here this for the control flow testing, they are going to take this program's control flow as a input or a model for that. In order to test this structural testing, under that we have a control flow in order to get to know the flow of a program. For example, I have written 520 numbers of lines of a code in order to generate or to perform any of the operation with the help of application. You just imagine. So there, I wanted to check the control of each flow of that particular program or a set of instruction. So there, it will going to use that control model as a model for the control flow testing. For example, how many functions we have in a program, how one function is related to another function. So when this code segment is happening, then control will going to be where in the program. That and all we are checking. So mainly we have a accessibility to the program's control flow, and they are going to consider this as an input in order to have this control flow testing. Along with that, the entire code, design and structure of the software have to be known for this type of testing. So if I don't know the in and out of a software, how it is working internally and what is its flow of a program, if we don't know the movement of a program code, then it is unable. Then that means the developer will going to be unable to do this control flow. They must know the entire code, what is the source code for that, and also how it got designed, and also the structure of a software application, how many models we have, how each model is interacting to each other. That and all we have to check when we are doing this kind of testing. So the type of testing is used by the developers to test their own code and implementation. This is also going to be done by the developer itself if they are accessing only to the source code. That is why we are saying when they are accessing the source code, then it's only going to be done by the development team itself. They must be able to do both development as well as testing. And also, this method is used to test the logic of the code so that required results can be obtained. So, if I have accessibility to the source code, then only it will able to make us to usage or to get to know the logic of an application or a software. Then only it will be easy in order to recognize do we have any errors or bugs in that particular logic, whether it is satisfying the requirement of a customer or not. Everything will going to be noted down at the time of this control flow testing. So next, in the same way, we have a data flow testing. So they are going to take the resultant of a control flow, how the data, that means how the program is moving, what is the structure of a program, how it got designed, every details we are going to have in a control flow diagram. So by taking that as an input, this data flow testing will going to take place. It uses the control flow graph to explore the unreasonable things that can happen to the data. So here main concern is related to data. So their main concern is related to control flow of a program. By taking that as an input, here we are concerning regarding the data. So if program is moving, or what is the structure of program, in that what data we have. So main concern is regarding data in the data flow testing. So it specifies the unreasonable things that can happen to the data. So if the exit of 0, if I am giving exit of 0 in the program, so at the time how the data will going to react for that, how it is coming out of the program, that and all we are going to check. So if you are using any of the loop, if that loop is used in the control flow testing, then how the data which comes under that code segment will going to get affected, that will going to be tested in this data flow testing. And also the detection of data flow anomalies. So do we have any confusions or any mistakes is there? That is what anomalies. So it can be related to insert, update when it comes to the database. All those kind of anomalies we can face here. are based on the association between the values and variables. It's always depends. That means what are the mistakes we are getting, what are the confusions that we are getting with the data flow diagram. It's always based on the values and variables. For example, if A is equal to 10, so what it means? Int A is equal to 10. A is a variable of a data type called integer and its value is 10. So here it will going to be associated between or an association between the value as well as the variable. So that how the data is moving, how data is getting affected, that and all we have to be concentrating on this data flow testing without being initialized usage of variable. So here I can't use the variables without it got initialized, and also if it is initialized or declared, if we are not using, that is also one of the mistakes here. So initialized variables are not used once. So you may get the errors, the variables has been declared but not used. If I am declaring this variable, that needs to be initialized. If it is initialized, that needs to be used somewhere in a program. That when we are checking that flow of a data, how data is getting affected and how it is making other data to get affected, that is also going to be tested in this data flow testing. So we got to know regarding control flow testing, data flow testing. Next we'll see how this slice based testing will going to takes place. So mainly this was proposed by Weiser and we have a Gallagher. For the software maintenance, for the purpose of software maintenance, these two people have invented this slice based testing. How this will going to be helpful in order to have a maintenance of a software, we'll see. Mainly this will be useful for the software debugging. So you just developed a software, testing is over. When it got deployed to the user's environment, at the time they may start facing some of the errors or issues. So in order to do the debugging or for the purpose of maintenance of an existing document or a existing application, then we have to use this slice based testing. So mainly it will be useful for the software debugging and software maintenance. So once it got delivered to the users or to the end user, that needs to be maintained. Programs, understanding and quantification of functional cohesion. So what is the potentiality of each functionality of an application, that and all will going to be generated, tested with the help of this slice based testing. So these are the advantages of this slice based testing. So these are the advantages. Then how it will going to work? That means here only we have a answer for that. That is slice. It is not taking it as a complete or a whole unit. So instead of that, it divides the program into different slices and tests that slice which can majorly affect the entire software. So if any one of the code segment is affecting the complete software, whether it needs to be retained or it needs to be deleted, everything will going to be tested in the slice based testing. Also helpful for debugging to maintain the quality and efficiency of a software. This is regarding slice based. Next we have one more thing. In order for the maintenance or in order to check the quality assurance of a software or an application once it is started with its maintenance. So here mutation testing we have. It's a type of software testing that is performed to design new software tests and also evaluate the quality of already existing software test. So we have different software testing methodology. In order to test that software, along with that, in order to design a new software test. So in order to improve the existing software types of testing and in order to improve the quality of a tools. So mainly for the upgradation of a software testing, we are going to have this mutation testing. So it is related to the modification of a program in small ways. What is the shortcut to reach the destination? That is what we are trying to check in this mutation testing, and also mainly it focuses in order to help the tester develop effective test or locate the weakness in the test data used for the program in order to get to know the SWOT, that means strength, weakness, opportunity and threat of an application or the software. This mutation testing will going to help. It will going to give the potentiality of a software and also going to help us in order to understand the weakness or risk taking places or spots of an application that can be done with the help of this mutation testing. So these are the types of structural testing that we have. Along with that, we'll see what are the advantages we can expect with the help of this structural testing. So mainly what it provides, so it provides a thorough testing of the software, because it will going to covers all the test areas or scenarios, right? So mainly it will control about the control flow, that means flow of a program and flow of a data, and also it will take care about the debugging, what maintenance. So somehow it will going to have a thorough testing of the software, and also it helps in finding out the defects at the early stage. So when we are performing all these kind of structural testing, that too by the developer at the time of development, then if we got to know the errors at the early stage, then it will be easy in order to minimize the project development time as well as to reduce the project development cost. And also it helps in elimination of a dead code which is not necessary, which is incorporated without any reason. All those code can be deleted with the help of this structural testing, and also it is not so time consuming, and also this is automated. If it is automated type of testing, the time consumption will be less when we compare it to the manual testing. These are the advantages. If we have advantages, then we have to expect disadvantages too. What it is? It requires knowledge of the code to perform a testing. So why? Because it will going to be done by the developer itself. So if the developer doesn't know to code, and he wouldn't be able to do the testing also. So that is what they must have the knowledge of internal working or a logic of a code, and then it requires a training in the tool used for the testing. Simply they can't do the testing without knowing the in and out of an application, and if they don't know the logic of a software and how many tools they are using, how it is using, when it is needs to be used, if they don't know anything, then this will be a scrapped one. That's why there must be a training on the tools or a structural testing tools which they are using in order to do this testing. And it is expensive. Why? Because it is automated, right? So one-time investment is required. Along with that, for the maintenance purpose, somehow it is expensive than other type of testing. So these are the disadvantages. Then what are the tools we have with respect to this structural testing? So it includes JBehave, and we have a Cucumber here, and we have a Generic as CFix. So these are the different structural testing tools that we have. With the help of this, we can do the testing of a code or a program or a complete application to improve their efficiency of a working, to improve the functionality of a application also. So with the help of any one of this testing tool, we can have this structural testing. This mainly done by the developer itself. They will be the developer as well as tester too. This is regarding structural testing. I hope you all understood this session. Let me meet you in the next session how we are going to do the test plan. So till now we have done the types of testing, methods of testing, everything is over. Then on what basis we are going to do the testing, how we are going to plan the test cases or test scenarios, that is all I will be discussing in my coming session. Let me meet you in the next session. Until that, keep learning, keep on growing. Thank you.